In this video, we're going to talk about systems of equations. Now, this is one of those topics that as you hear or when you see it, you may think, okay, I don't know what that is when I've heard it, but when I see you do it, I know exactly how to do it. So here's an example. 2x minus y equals minus 2, and 4x plus y equals 5. And they want you to figure out where these two lines would intersect. At what point do they hit each other? But the problem is, you can't use a calculator. And if you put it into a calculator, you could quickly see that point, but they want you to solve it. And so algebraically, here's what we're going to do. Basically, we're going to add down and figure out the answers. So it works like this. We're going to add the x's, add the y's. We're going to just add down. And in this case, you'll notice the y's disappear. That's really nice in this case. We're going to get 6x equals 3. Divide by 6, x equals 1/2 when I reduce it. So I have one of the solutions. Well, if this is true, take that number, plug it back into the first equation, or the second equation, doesn't matter. And let's see what we get. Well, 2 times 1/2 minus y equals minus 2. So I'm plugging in the first equation. That's an x. I plugged it there. 2 over 1 is the same as 2. Well, those cancel. That becomes a 1. 1 minus y equals minus 2. Okay? And so I subtract 1 to move it over to this side. And I get minus y equals minus 3. So y equals, divide by negative 1, y equals 3. So my answers are 1/2 and 3. Okay? And so I can actually check my work as I go. Check it with the second equation. Again, you probably wouldn't want to do this on a time test, but this is, let me show you the logic of why it works. So I had my x, I plugged it in. My y, I plugged it in. I'm just plugging in the second equation. 4 times 1/2. So 4 times 1 is 4. 2 times 1 is a 2. 4 over 2 is a 2. 2 plus 3 equals 5. So 5 equals 5. Those are my solutions. Again, you're not going to do this part. I'm just justifying why it works. Okay? So the system of equations, I add down, I get something to cancel, get one answer, substitute it back in, and I have my answer. Let's try another one real quick. Again, this is without a calculator. You have to get good with your math skills, and so let's try this one. X plus 2y equals 10, and x minus 2y equals 8. Now, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to solve it in two different ways, because there's really two ways to do it and make it work. And so I'm going to just show you how to do both of them. The first one, and I'm just going to work the same question twice. The first type is called elimination, and it's what we just did. When you add down, you'll see 2y and negative 2y go away. So I get 2x equals 18. Divide by 2, so x equals 9. Take that number, plug it in. So 9 plus 2y equals 10, minus 9. And so 2y equals 1. Divide by 2, y equals 1/2. Here's my two solutions. So I'm going to write them up here at the top. So y equals and y equals, they're my two answers. So that's by elimination. I added down and they went away. Now, what you can also do is what is called substitution. Now, there are times when one is better than the other, or for some of us, one seems a lot easier than the other. And so I'll show it to you both ways, and you can decide which one you like. Okay? So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to substitute. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the equations and we're going to solve it. Okay? And so what we're going to do, let's just take the first one. We'll make a line here. So x equals, if I move this to the other side, I get minus 2y plus 10. All I did was move the plus 2y to the other side. Okay? So I solved the first equation for x. Now the second equation also has an x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what I now know as x equals in the first one, and I'm going to put that right there. So minus 2y plus 10 minus 2y equals 8. So let me show you one more time. Took the first equation, and I solved it for one of them. It doesn't matter which one. I chose x because there was no number here. And so I moved the 2y over. So in the first equation, x is equal to minus 2y plus 10. Now I'm going to plug that into the second equation where it says x. So I have that minus 2y equals 8. Now I'm going to solve the equation. I have two of those, so that's minus 4y plus 10 equals 8. And so we'll move the 10 over. So minus 4y equals minus 2. Divide by negative 4. Y equals, that the plus, those become plus. 2/4 is 1/2. Y equals 1/2. You'll notice I got the same answer. When I take that 1/2, I can then take the 1/2 and plug it into an equation. Let's say the first one, x plus 2 times 1/2 equals 10. 2 over 1, oh, those reduce down, so x plus 1 equals 10 minus 1, x equals 9. I wrote that wrong originally, I apologize. X equals 9, y equals 1/2. I got the same answers. So in the first one, we added down and made something go away, and then we worked from there. In this equation, we solved for one of them, plugged it into the other equation, and solved it out. Either one works. One's not better than the other. Some of us are better at our math and doing that and making it work, so it doesn't really matter. Just find the way that works best for you. Here's one more example, and this one would be considered a complex one. This one's a little harder to do. Make sure I write it down correctly so that it works right. Okay, so make sure, take a second and write that down. 7x minus 5y equals 21, and negative 3x and 2y equals negative 7. Now, there's a bunch of numbers in there. So do I want to add down and make something go away? Well, those don't go away, and those don't go away. If I go to substitute, look at all the math. How can I do that? Well, here's a shortcut to make your life sometimes a little easier. I notice that that 5 and 2 go into 10. What if I took this whole first line and multiplied by 2, and this whole second line and I multiplied by 5? Watch what happens. In the first line, multiply everybody by 2. That's 14x minus 10y equals 42. Multiply the second line by 5. That's minus 15x plus 10y and minus 35. Now, why would I do that? Look what just happened right here. Because I saw I could have made those into 10, or I could have made those into 21 and make them disappear by multiplying by different numbers. I just chose this one. That disappears. So if I add down, I get 14x minus 15x is a minus x. There's just one of them. Equals 35 and 7 is 42. 42 minus 35 is 7. So divide by negative 1. X equals negative 7. I already got that answer. And so I pick one of the equations to solve it out and see what I get. So we'll just go to the first one. 7 times negative 7. And minus 5y equals 21. So that's minus 49. Minus 5y, again, you got to know your multiplication tables. Plus 49. 49. Minus 5y equals 70. Divide by minus 5. Y equals negative or minus. Let's see, that goes into that 14 times. Is that right? Yep. They're my two solutions. And so you can do things by elimination. Well, I had to make these eliminate. Nothing was eliminating like in the first couple, so I made it do that. I multiplied the whole line by 2, the whole line by 5. Now something eliminated, and when I got one answer, plug it back into the original equation. Notice I plugged it in without that 2. Okay, I just plugged it in the original equation. I got my answer, minus 14. And if you wanted to, you could try both these numbers into the second equation, and you'll get them to equal out. System of equations. It takes some practice to get it right. In the next video, you get to try some.